Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is going to do Fairy Tail Chapter 289 review. This chapter review is very straightforward because this chapter itself is very straightforward. Now, if you're wondering, King of Lightning, are you going to do last week's chapter because you didn't do it? The answer is no. Why? Because 2 weeks ago was straight up Trollfest, and I stated then that last week would be no chapter review unless Zeref came out. Zeref did not come out, and thus no chapter review. That's simple. Now, this week's chapter of Fairy Tail. This week's chapter was okay. It was okay. The fight went. Actually, I predicted that the fight would end the way it did, since I did remember that there was a time limit per each fight. So yeah, I kind of saw this coming a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Even though I was hoping that Chelia would actually win the fight, but you know, whatever. Okay, I'll give props to Wendy because Wendy has grown. She has matured. Well, not literally matured, but she has matured over the course of the series. So I'll give Wendy credit when it comes to this whole entire thing. When it comes to her fight with Chelia and so on and so forth. And I will say one thing. I find it kind of a little bit too, no, screw it. No, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. All right. Now, that being said, all right. The beginning of the chapter starts off, and basically it's Jalal and Mess stuff. All right. I know his real name is Dron Bolt, but I don't really care because Dron Bolt sounds lame. I like Mess. All right. So it's Jalal and Mess stuff. And Mess is and here it is, right? A little inception. Mess is watching Jalal as Jalal watches Chelia and Wendy, but Jalal knows that Mess is watching him watch the game or watching the match. He knows, all right? So he knows, all right? And basically, he's there to make sure that Chelia is not involved in Zeref in some way, shape, and form. And then the match goes on. And basically, it appears that Chelia has the upper, she has the advantage. However, what happens is that she does some pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty sick Wind God Ogi. It was kind of like a circle, and like a piece of that circle comes off, and like the circle's made out of feathers, like dark winged feathers, and like they rush at Wendy, but the feathers miss her completely. And then we find out that the reason why, basically, like the thing here is that Wendy revived Chelia's physical strength, and thus Chelia was not aware of her own physical fatigue. So she overshot and used too much magical energy without realizing that she didn't have that much to begin with, and that's the way it works out. And then they fight, and basically most of this stuff is kind of skipped and watered down. We see them go at each other for a few times, like Dragon Town over here, Wind got something over here. No real emphasis on the actual fight itself. Kind of like how they played the, what's that one fight? Yeah, kind of like the way they did Elfman and Bacchus. But whatever. I mean, this was better than that fight. That fight was fucking troll. That fight was pure troll. But this fight was better than that fight. All right. And then they're going at each other, and then time limit, and then they get a draw. 5 points go to Lamian Scale, 5 points go to Fairy Tail Team A, and then Wendy and Chelia shake hands, like, let's be friends, which was obvious. This was obvious. And then at the end of the chapter, we see that everyone's leaving since that this was the last competition of the day, and then we see that Jalal feels this presence of Zeref leave along with the people. So he's like, oh shit. So it wasn't Chelia, it was something else that occurred during the time of Chelia's fight. So he bails. And of course, Mess follows, because Mess is a son of a bitch. So what happens here is that Jalal sees a shadowy figure, and he feels the aura of Zeref emitting from this shadowy figure. And then as he's about to go and, talk to this person, or confront this person, here comes fucking Mess. And where you going? I was like, ah, fuck, here we go. I knew that was gonna happen. I fucking knew that was gonna happen. And then comes the other guy, Lahar. He comes out with the other you know, I forgot their name. They're the council, yeah, like the council dudes. And basically, Mesh says, I know that you're not Mr. Gun. Who are you? And then Jalal, because Jalal was about to faint the guy, or he was about to try and using his sleeping magic on the person who was like the shadowy figure, but he couldn't since, you know, Mesh and Mesh and the other guy Lahar were there, so he was kind of screwed. And now where we go from here, I'm not too sure. But there is a little panel of Erza, and she senses something. I mean, honest to God, these two might as well just marry, like straight up, because their connection's like seriously, all right. And that's the end of the chapter right there. Now, this chapter, in my personal opinion, it was a good chapter. The structure of the chapter was good. Good structure, fluid. The fight did go as anticipated, but it was still a solid fight. Not the greatest fight, but still a solid fight. In my personal opinion, not the best fight of the tournament. Again, I'll say one more time, the best fight of the tournament, in my opinion, is fucking Kagura. Kagura, she rapes. But what I will say is that, in my personal opinion, it was boring. It was boring. The chapter was okay, but in my personal opinion, I was kind of bored. So, I mean, that's the way I felt. That's the way I felt. So, I'm just saying. Now, where we go from this shadowy figure, I'm not too sure. But hopefully on day 4, they reveal who this shadowy figure is. And I've noticed how throughout the entire course of day 3, we have not seen Arcadius once. Not once. So, what is he doing? I'm not too sure. That being said, that's my review. So, I'll see you guys later. A fairly quick review from my perspective. So I'll see you guys later. Rate, comment, subscribe. Peace. Have a nice day.